wonder if that's it. I wonder if that has solved the issue of the microphone crackling so much. I've just pulled a little bit of free play through. I weren't too sure if it's pulling on it, I don't know. Because when I've been doing this with my left hand, vigorous left hand motion produces a lot of crackling, so. Hello everybody and welcome to Thursday's edition of the Chris Pritchard Cycling News Show. Have we got a new show for you today? Yes we have. Oosh. Alright, so coming up in today's show, we're going to catch up on all the racing news. A couple of races down in Australia happened while I've been away, as well as a Vuelta at San Juan, which is still going on. Still got another 3 stages of that to go. So we'll catch up on all that racing news. But first, let's start with some of my YouTube recommendations. There's loads of videos that I'm enjoying over on the YouTubes at the minute. Links for all of these are down in the description, but there's some cracking videos out at the minute. Go and check them out. First up, my man, Phil, and his FTP Hell stroke experience on Zwift. If you want to go and check out a man putting himself through the grinder prior to work, I'll have you know. He did this before he went to work, smashed himself to bits in an FTP, then went to work. Go and check that out. It's a great video, great inspiration, great motivation if you're thinking about taking on an FTP challenge soon. This film here has been made by Corinne Wilder, like amazing video producer, editor. Just she's so bloody talented. Anyway, Trinity Racing have done a bit of a documentary on Tom Pidcock stepping up to elite, and it's a great insight into Tom, the dedication that he's got for his sport and his craft. Obviously this kid's going places. Great video.
He's very ambitious and he just loves winning bike races.
I'm Tom Pidcock. I'm 20 years old. I'm from Leeds in Yorkshire.
This next video here from Middleton Scott, What It Takes, episode 1, One of the Boys. This video here will give you a great insight into Annemiek van Vleuten and her mindset as she joins the men's team at the infamous January camp. 10 days back-to-back 200-kilometre rides, point to point. That sounds more like a stage race than a training camp, but anyway, head over, watch that. Another amazing, inspirational person on a bike.
It had to be real, it had to be tangible, that this is what we're looking for, this is what we're going for, this is a real goal here, but not so hard that it was going to be impossible to get to.
Next up, Mike Boyd and how difficult are bike rollers? From the looks of this video, very difficult, but Mike Boyd tries to take on a set of rollers for the first time. Go and check it out, see how he does.
I have an idea. So this is my e-bike. I love this thing. Check this out. Little throttle here.
And over the last couple of days, Francis Cade has put out 2 videos. Every cyclist dream this, designing, painting, building their dream road bike.
I thought that was going to take like an hour, but it took 5 minutes. You know when you see an expert working, I literally can't do it. I was allowed to write my own terrible children's handwriting. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my new bike.
If that was my bike and I paid all that money because it's got Di2 on it, it's a very, very expensive wheel set, very expensive frame. That's in excess of what, 10 grand? Must be. If I'd spent 10 grand on a bike, I wouldn't run the risk of putting it in a soft case to get it transported back home. I will put it in, I'd buy 2 hard cases, sellotape them together to make sure that that got back. He's not paying for it though, is he? You'd think if you were paying all that money out that you would, make sure it gets home safe and sound. Especially after all the problems he had getting his other bikes back from Mauritius. Destroyed 2 bikes on the way back from there. But fingers crossed, his dream bike this is the best bike he could ever dream of getting. He may as well chuck it in a Tesco bag and hope for the best. I don't want to have to bring a video out next week saying, Francis, bloody told you so. Anyway, links are down in the description for all those videos. Go and check them out and go and show them some love. All right, racing news. Obviously, Vuelta at San Juan has been going off over the past couple of days, so let's check out what's been going on over there, down there. So stages 2 and 4, both sprint stages, both won by the same man, Fernando Gaviria. Remco Evenepoel is in the overall GC lead after his epic ride in the Stage 3 individual time trial. He beat second place rider Filippo Ganna by 32 seconds, which gives him the overall lead. Heading into Stage 5, Filippo Ganna is in second place on that GC and Oscar Sevilla is in third. Sevilla? Now, before the riders down in Australia head to the Cadel Evans Great Ocean Road Race, there was a race over in Torquay, not the English Riviera, somewhere down in Australia somewhere. Anyway, in the men's race, Sam Bennett took the sprint victory ahead of Giacomo Nizzolo for the NTT Pro Cycling team, and in third place was Alberto Dainese for Team Sunweb. And over in the women's, it was Brodie Chapman who took the victory ahead of Emily Herfoss in second place and Taylor Wiles in third place. And there you go, that's your racing news. Now, there's obviously highlights over on GCN Racing. If you want to go and actually check out the highlights from Vuelta a San Juan, then there's no point me not saying that it's not available, because it is available. I know it's not my channel, but go and check it out, because obviously they've got lots more money than we have, so they can actually show moving pictures of bicyclists riding. Anyway. Alright, the first little bit of news that is actually really interesting, especially if you ride CVArcade. Make the jokes down below if you want, whatever. But CVArcade have just announced a brand new racing league, which does actually sound quite interesting. They're calling it the Derny Cup. So starting on the 13th of February, the CVR Derny Cup will bring a completely new racing format to CVArcade. Using the unique nature of CVArcade, physical and non-physical riders can race together. Now, exactly what the format of how the races are going to work, that's still in development for CVArcade. But what I can glean from this is that you're going to be having a non-physical rider using a keyboard or a games controller to be able to move their avatar through time and space on CVArcade. And then behind that non-physical rider, you're going to have a rider who's on their bike, turning those pedals, using their effort to get their rider round that course, exactly like you see on the track. Derny racing is one of the highlights of 6-day racing. It's one of the most entertaining races during a 6-day event. But will it translate onto a game? Will it make the racing more exciting? Is it going to draw more people in because they don't physically have to turn the pedals? You could become a highly skilled Derny rider on CVArcade. I don't know. Let us know your comments down below on this one. Every time I seem to stream a CVArcade race now, more people are coming in and going, oh, actually, what is this? What's going on here? A lot of more people are getting interested in CVArcade, and having different kinds of concepts of races could really drive more and more people across the CVArcade. So let me know your thoughts on it. Derny racing online, do you think you'd be up for that? Next up, and I feel that this race definitely needs shouting about, is one of the best races I have witnessed, and I don't know if it's because I was there with the riders or what, but it was a really exciting race. It was streamed on the Zwift live community channel, and oh man, it popped off. So on Tuesday we did the Crank It Up tour over in Amsterdam at Ride Out Bike Shop. Prior to the actual Crank It Up tour, there was a race organised by Feats magazine. It was 8 of the best riders. They got together and they were all racing for the best of the best. It was a private race organised by Feats magazine. They brought 8 of the best Zwifters from the region to race in this event, and it went off. So probably the favourite going into it was Lionel Vuissin. He's one of the best Zwift riders around. You'll have probably heard of him if you've watched any Zwift racing at all. And it looked like he was just set to win this. It looked like a formality to a lot of people. However, he had a mechanical issue.
Are flying at this point as Bosch, Van Geit, and Vuissin go, and it looks like over here trying to respond now. No, Vuissin, is it a dropout? A dropout situation for Vuissin. It looks like here he's probably got his hands in the air. Like, what is going on?
I mean, if it was me, I'd have jumped off the bike, kicked the bike, probably smashed the TV as well. But he got his head down and he started riding, and he was going hard, and he went harder and harder and harder. Then he caught a straggler. Then he caught another straggler, and it looked all of a sudden, all right, maybe he'll finish 4th or 5th. But then coming on to the last lap, he caught the front group up. Unbelievable scenes. But then we thought, all right, he's had to work hard to get there. If you can stay there, great. That's an amazing result. But not only that, he then went and only bloody won it, didn't he?
It holds, and there it is. Vuissin coming over the top. The left 10. It looks like 1,000 watts here to come over the top, and it's 13 watts per kilogram from Lionel Viasen. Drops Bosch here at this point, and it's going to be Canyon ZCC across the line. He made the impossible happen. What an amazing result for Lionel Viasen.
It was an amazing thing to see, and I'm sure we'll get onto this shortly, but the engagement and the atmosphere and the investment that you start to put into a rider when you're physically stood there watching them, or you can see them suffer, we've said it before, they're missing a massive opportunity in this. It's all good and well watching avatars ride through each other at 300 or 400 watts in the top corner, but until you see that rider committing to that effort, until you see that rider struggling, not knowing whether they're going to actually make the break or they're going to catch the group, when you see that look on their face, it's so much more entertaining, so much more engaging than watching the avatars going backwards and forwards. And it's a part of these streams that they're still missing. They're close, but they're just still missing it. But anyway, like I said, awesome race. Go down into the link, into the description. And then the final news story today is, so on Monday we covered this story about Scot Wiese, who got disqualified from a Tour de Zwift race. There's a Pro-Am Invitational going off at the minute on the Tour de Zwift. He got disqualified for putting out numbers that he couldn't justify or prove that they were legitimate. So he was putting out big numbers, and Zwift said to him, we need some more data to back this up. Like, show us some real data to back this up. For whatever reason, it appeared that he didn't. He ended up finishing 14th. I said it wasn't a big deal at the time, but then realised that it's a team event, so actually where he finished was important, whether it was first or last ultimately. So anyway, fast forward to the next race. It was the race in Bologna. He absolutely destroyed the field. I mean, it didn't help his case, because he went from the gun and he went hard, and normally one or two riders up the road will always be caught by the effects of that blob in Zwift. You get a big group of riders, they can always travel a lot faster than a rider on their own, but not in this event. He just smashed it to pieces. It was like Froome's solo attack in the Giro. It was like Floyd Landis when he took the victory in the Tour de France. It was one of those moments. That was it. He got the result, he got the victory, and then a couple of days later, the official results came out from Zwift, and surprise, surprise, it was disqualified again. So the official statement, and the only statement currently out from Zwift, and it appears that they're not, after reading the community pages, it appears that Zwift are just pushing this one to the side. The official statement is, disqualifications, Scot Wiese, failure to provide data to race officials or the performance verification board. So I reached out to Scott yesterday to try and get some information, try and get his side of the story, just to find out exactly what was going on. But he's not been back in touch. If he does reply, then I'll let you know in another show. But currently, not heard anything from him, not heard anything from Zwift. What does this say about the whole situation? Because you've got people here who legitimately think that this esports and e-style racing is a thing. This physical esports is a thing, and it's growing. And you can't help thinking that they're right. It is growing. Because you've got a company in Zwift who have, I've said this time and time again, they've just had $120 million invested in them based on their esports business idea. So what's going on? And where is that 120 million being spent? And I'm not saying they have to spell it all out to us, but why are they not coming forward and saying, these are the events that we're putting on. Currently, we've got all this money that we're ready to invest, but we're trying to iron out all the kinks. We're trying to get everything exactly the way the community wants it, the way we want it as a business, and the way we can make it go forward and actually be something. But they don't say anything. Now, is this £120 million been sourced based on that esport, based on the fact that the esports industry is a $4 billion industry last year? If it is, and they said, esports is 4 billion and we're esports now, so give us some money, and then gone, right, we've got this 120 million, let's stick it back into the other side of Zwift, which is the training and the social side of it. Maybe they've done that, I don't know, but you can't help thinking that if they've got 120 million here and the best that they can come up with is this Pro-Am Invitational, where they can't even make sure that people are using correct calibrated trainers or power meters, then what's the deal? And I'm not trying, I don't want, listen, I know a lot of you out there think that all I want to do is upon Zwift, but I don't. I just want it to be, I want it to be something. I want esports to be something. I want physical esports to be successful, to allow people to potentially ride their bike full time from the comfort of their own home, and it be a legitimate race series where people watch it and they go, these riders are legit because we've seen them and we know the equipment that they're using is legit. But what's happening with Scottie Weiss is it appears that he's not willing to either test himself under a controlled environment which will give him the numbers that he needs, and if that's the case then he knows potentially he's riding on a miscalibrated power meter. But he's said time and again, and he's put statements out after Innsbruck saying that he is legit. He's done his weigh-in videos, so it's not like he's trying to hide anything, but he's not providing enough information to Zwift to make sure that his numbers are legit. And if he's not giving that information up to Zwift, then you can't help thinking that there is something dodgy going on there. If this was a community race and this was all done by the community like it used to be back in the day, then it'd be different. But Zwift are taking control of these races. They took control of the KISS series. They're taking control of these Tour de Zwift races. So they are Zwift's own races. And yet they're still getting it wrong. Listen, there is no answer to this at the minute. There's nothing. There's no systems or procedures or equipment that can make this 100% credible across the board, because you've got so many different people on different power meters, on different smart trainers, on different bikes, on different internet connections. There's just too many variables to even think about ever making it 100% legitimate at the minute. The only way you can do it, like we've said in the past, is have everybody there in the same room at the same time, doing the same thing on the same trainers. But that's not going to happen for quite a while, if at all. If at all. So, and then let's surmise, let's just say that Scott has manipulated his numbers in some way, whether it's with a very dodgy power meter, whether he's doing something in the software that gives him an extra 30 watts. I'm not saying this is the case, let's just be clear. I'm just saying if this is the case, if we find out that he manipulated his numbers somehow, it's not like you can do a Cameron Jeffers on him because it's not a sanctioned event. It's just a Zwift event. And I'm sure there's money involved in it for the professional riders, but there's probably no money involved in it for the amateur riders. It's not sanctioned by any governing bodies, so it's not like you can take his license off him. I mean, Zwift could stop him racing these Tour de Zwift events, but that's pretty much it. It seems to be making a mockery out of the whole thing. You've got the community who, yes, it's only a small percentage of the amount of riders at actually Zwift who want racing and who want it to be legitimate. It's only a small percentage. But still, you can see that they're potentially, with the right people behind it, could be a business model there. You could bring in sponsors, you could bring in big names into the esports realm and actually make it something legitimate. But until Zwift actually grow some balls and put something out there and say that this is what we're trying to do, so give us time, or they say we're not going to do it and then let somebody else try and take it over. It's frustrating. And I know that there's a lot of people out there probably still watching this now. You might have made it to this point, I don't know. If you have, I appreciate it, thank you, make sure you hit that like button. But there's people out there who couldn't give a rat's ass about this, who think that indoor cycling is the complete opposite of the true spirit of cycling. Cycling's all about being outdoors, it's all about being free, it's all about the fun and the environment and the social aspect of it. But whether you like it or not, the world's changing, and this is potentially a new avenue of cycling discipline that is going to allow cyclists who not necessarily would have ever made it professional to actually achieve something within cycling. And I don't think it should be just simply poo-pooed because Zwift haven't got it right yet. I think there's a lot of people out there who do currently poo-poo it, that in 2 or 3 years' time will be getting behind it and realising that it is legitimate. But anyway, as ever, leave those comments down below and let me know what you think to this. Who's in the wrong? Is he in the wrong for not supplying his data? Are Zwift in the wrong for not doing anything? Am I in the wrong for talking about it? Or are you in the wrong because you haven't subscribed to the channel yet? Make sure you hit that like button if you've enjoyed the show today. Hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you know when we go live with our videos and our live streams. I'm back again, probably next week now, because I'm in London tomorrow. Down south, innit, Gav? You bloody nutter.